All right, so this time of year, you're walking through the woods and you're squirrel hunting. You're trying to find the best place to hunt squirrels, so you need to go where squirrels are. You know, just sit somewhere haphazardly and hope you see a squirrel. I'm walking through and I see this fresh cut red oak branch. There's lots of mass crop on the ground right now, acorns everywhere. What's happened here is a squirrel's been up in the tree. He's cut this down to let it fall to the ground, and then he'll come down out of the tree. So if you see fresh cuttings like this with live leaves on them from the oaks on the forest floor, somewhere above you, there's a squirrel working that tree. Those are the areas you want to stop and just sit down for a little while. I just saw one of those cuttings fall off in the distance up here through the trees. There's a squirrel up in the treetops up here. He's working those branches. We'll get a look at him here in a minute if we're patient. We'll take him for dinner tonight. This Exped Down Mat XP7 is one of the best cold weather mats I've found. If it's going to get down below freezing, you know, this thing definitely does the trick, and even in the 30s and 40s is a really comfortable night's sleep. So I like it really, really well. I did a video on this flex tail inflator, and it's also a charging brick, so it works well to charge your phone as well as inflate and deflate your air mattresses. Quick, easy, doesn't weigh a whole lot. You'd probably be carrying a brick anyway. No sense not having it. Smooth it, that's what I say. Smooth is what Nessmuk said. I use a sheet of black Tyvek underneath my tent. It's kind of a ground cloth. And I really do that not so much to protect this Dyneema because it's really strong, but just to make sure that if something does poke through it, I've got an extra layer of protection between the ground and that Dyneema for my air mattress, because those down-filled air mattresses are really expensive. So I just want to make sure that it's well taken care of. But I use this ground sheet quite a bit, even if I'm just sleeping under a tarp. That Tyvek ground sheet weighs next to nothing. And you can just wad it up or roll it up and carry it in your pack, and it makes a really good ground sheet for everything from sleeping on the ground to sleeping in a tent to sleeping in your hammock, something to step out on in the morning. All those things, even a kneeling pad in wet weather, it's great for that because that Tyvek is waterproof and it's extremely, extremely strong. Okay guys, well, I thought I'd sit down here for a minute and talk to you guys, and I have to tell you, I've erased this video segment 3 times now because it's gotten too long and drawn out. What I want to talk to you about is the evolution of my channel, the evolution of my career, the evolution of the things that I use and promote. And everybody should be about improvement, not only personal improvement, financial improvement, gear and equipment improvement, but improvement of themselves as well. And I've went through all of those stages in the last 15 years from where I started my career, from all the way back to the Versa shelter with a tarp and a wool blanket. And there's nothing wrong with common man. And at that time, it was what I could afford to do. And it's what I did. And I showed how to improvise and do it yourself and do things on the cheap because that's what I had to do. At this point in my career, I don't have to do those things anymore. And I've shown enough of that stuff along the way that it's all still there on YouTube if that's what you want to see. But what I'm doing now is I'm trying to test more expensive gear. I'm trying to use more expensive gear for longer periods of time to see, number one for you, is this stuff worth your spending your dollar on or saving your money for? And also because I work with a lot of companies that have gear that they want me to test and trial for them and give them feedback on. And then again, you know, it's more enjoyable sometimes in my mind to be able to take something that's ultralight, like this tent that we're talking about today, or that we're using in this video today, and put that on my back, and it weighs less than a pound, and it's big enough for me, all my gear, completely waterproof, completely windproof. I can batten down the hatches in that thing. It doesn't matter what the weather is. As long as I've got the right sleeping pad in there and overquilt, I'm going to be warm as long as I got the right clothing on underneath all that. So even though that's a very expensive Dyneema Cuban fiber type tent, to me, there's a lot of pluses that go along with that expense of durability, lightweight, waterproof completely, enjoyable to carry in the woods, easy to set up, easy to take down, stores very small. All of those things add up to it costs more money. And all of those things add up to a more enjoyable time in the woods much of the time because you don't spend as much time setting up shelter. It's not as heavy on your back. It doesn't take up as much room in your pack. So you can carry more luxury type items and not have to worry about just carrying the items that are going to give you a good night's sleep because they don't weigh as much anymore. They don't take up as much room in your pack. So I don't want to rant too much about this. I just wanted you to realize that, you know, I was 57 years old when I bought my very first new vehicle, my Gladiator. So I waited all my life to buy one brand new vehicle, and I bought that Gladiator, and I'm proud of it. And I'm not going to feel bad because I shoot videos about that Gladiator when people say, well, nobody could ever afford to buy that truck. Sure they can. I see them every day on the street. So somebody can obviously afford to buy them, and I'm proud of it. So I'm going to do peripheral videos around my build, around camping from, in, on, and out of that Gladiator. And I would appreciate it if you stuck around. So let's get back to the video, guys. Okay, let's talk about what we're gonna do here. We've got this boiled potatoes here, and we've got the water warm. Not boiling anymore, but it's hot. With that, we're going to take some just add water peppered gravy mix, and we're going to just basically dump it in. Not quite the whole packet because it calls for 2 cups. I don't quite have 2 cups of water in there. And then I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to kind of smash these potatoes up a little bit because they are boiled in here. Of course, the skins are in here. But that's also going to mix up that gravy mix inside this bush pot. And because it's warm, it'll start to thicken up a little bit. I'm not trying to make mashed potatoes out of this. I'm just trying to cut them up into chunks. And the starches in there will help thicken that up. And you can see how thick that is already. All right, that's exactly what we're looking for. Now, to that, we're going to take this squirrel meat that we cooked. And we're going to take it off here and we're going to start putting it in by just picking it off the bone and adding it to this mixture. And we're just going to debone this guy and put the meat right in our stew pot. And once we've got most of the meat off of this dude, now we're going to mix that up. Okay, now that we've got our meat added, we're going to put a little water in here to thin it down, and we're going to cook it down again. All right, at this point, we're going to add a little salt and pepper. A little salt and pepper shaker like this comes in real handy. Stir that dude up good. We'll let our fire burn down just a little bit. We're going to get this dude over some heat for a little while. Just snug him up in the side there for the moment. All right, well, I'm not real sure what we're calling this. Like I said, simple ingredients. A couple potatoes boiled, whole red potatoes, shredded squirrel meat, and some country pepper gravy mix, just add water. We used the potato water for that. And I'll tell you what, I had a bite of this earlier. It's really hot. Still really hot, but it's freaking fantastic. And for no more than ingredients it took to make that, that's nothing you can't carry in with you easy enough. And a little squirrel off the landscape, ready to rock and roll. You know, a lot of the old timers carried food. You read the journals, read the books, they'll tell you they carried food with them in case there was a shortage of game or fish. So they'd have food, but they also used that food to supplement meats and things like that off the landscape. And I think it's important for us as modern woodsmen to understand that and to not believe that we have to go out in the woods and eat everything off the landscape, because the old timers didn't do it either. Even the frontiersmen didn't do it. They carried things like parched corn, jerked beef, and things like that into the woods with them, jerked deer meats and things like that, to supplement the game that they might or might not come up with on the trail. It wasn't always feasible to hunt or fish. So we should think the same way and pack some food items with us that we can prepare, like just add water meals, and then other things that we can use in conjunction with food off the landscape to make a fine meal like this one tonight. It only took a squirrel to add to that. We got a delicious meal that's more than filling and probably enough for breakfast as well. You think one squirrel is not very much meat. You add a couple potatoes to that and a half a packet of gravy. But that's really enough probably for today and breakfast tomorrow morning again. Man, oh man. It's kind of like a cross between a potato soup and mashed potatoes and gravy with some squirrel meat in there. A good piece of that squirrel meat right there. Oh man, golly, that's so good. You know, I think Horace Kephart said it best when he said that any fool can rough it. And Nessmuk said you should try to smooth it. And I believe that with all my heart. In a simple system, on, in, under. Something I can sleep on top of, like this X-bed mat that will battle conduction. Something I can sleep under that's going to give me protection from the elements, like this Z-Pax Dyneema tent. And then something that I can sleep inside of, like this goose down burrow overquilt. That's going to give me loft insulation and trap body heat, and I'm smoothing it. And that's what it's all about. These poles are carbon fiber. They weigh nothing. Titanium stakes. Not adding a lot of weight to your kit that way. So that's the entire tent, poles, stakes, ropes, whole 9 yards. You know, it's not very big, that's for sure. So, and it weighs, like I said, almost nothing. So I got my food bag in the front, tent and blanket side by side. Pretty simple. I just put my air mattress on the top. Bitty bag in front of that. Tyvek ground sheet goes on the very top because I use it the most often. I stuff my saw down beside everything on the side, just like this, where I can get to it easily if I need it. And then everything else just kind of goes in peripherally from there. All right, guys, nothing else to do but pick up my rifle and maybe drink some coffee on the way back to the Gladiator. Short walk from here to get there, a couple 100 yards maybe through the woods, if that. I appreciate you joining me for this video. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. I appreciate all your views and your support. I'll be back with another video, guys, as soon as I can. Thanks.